Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
General Hospital spoilers allude that Drew Cain could be arrested for theft. On social media, numerous suckers are calling for the Solon to face legal consequences over the stolen heritages he's been flaunting about. In GH's November 10th occasion, Drew admitted to Ned Quartermaine that he called the moving company and had all the precious family heritages packed to his house. Ned claimed that was theft and refocused out those particulars didn't belong to Drew. Of course, Drew acted like he possessed them anyway and made it clear that he took great pleasure in keeping those family particulars from the Quartermaine clan. Ned ultimately blustered about how he was going to take Drew to court and sue him for every point he stole, but that's not good enough for plenitude of fed-up suckers. There's been a big drive on social media for Drew to get arrested over his brazen-faced crime. Monica Quartermaine left Drew out of the will fully, so he doesn't earn a single thing from inside her house. Drew formerly gets down with far too important, but he shouldn't get down with this when the particulars were so easily stolen. Since Drew also left Ned while he was having a medical extremity, that's just more proof that he's a dirty rotten scoundrel who needs to go down one way or another. Indeed, if it's for commodity small like stealing Quartermaine family heritages, it'd be better than nothing. Drew's firing easily wasn't enough of a punishment since he didn't change his jest at all. However, Drew's gotten indeed worse. Would you like to see Drew get arrested over the theft he just confessed to? Are you getting tired of Drew's trim face and how awful he's on a diurnal base? Although Drew is brimming with confidence on any given day, he may have some unanticipated snags in his future related to Willow Tate and her own legal drama, if anything. General Hospital spoilers say some unwelcome surprises should be headed Drew's way whether he gets the arrest he deserves or not. Drew Cain may have a new woman in his future. Will a messy pairing follow Drew's ineluctable Willow Tate split? Drew is still fighting hard for a fresh chapter with Willow, but it seems like a lost cause. Willow is adhering to Drew as one of the many people who actually wants to help her, but she's easily just using him at this point. Whatever love Willow had for Drew is tainted by this whole guardianship mess. There's no way Drew and Willow will still have a real future by the end of all this. Unfortunately, Drew has managed to alienate just about everyone in Port Charles with his awful jest. There aren't a lot of women around city who'll be jumping at the chance to be with Drew once he's single again. Still, Drew's going to need a love interest anyway, so who's it going to be? Could Drew get paired up with another city leper who maybe doesn't suppose she's good of a better man deep down? That brings us to Britt Westbourne, who's tangled up in a dangerous design that's putting a lot of lives at threat. Jason Morgan keeps trying to move Britt that she's a good person at heart, but she doesn't believe that considering the secrets she's keeping and the work she's doing for the sake of her drug boluses. Britt and Jason feel like they're headed down a romantic path right now, but that could change formerly Britt's secrets come to light. Since Britt isn't telling the whole story about Nathan West and other pieces of the Caesar Faison mystification, there's a chance she'll ruin effects with Jason or at least push him down. We could be gearing up for a situation where Drew's pouting each alone after losing Willow and making all of Port Charles detest him. Britt may feel like she's in an analogous boat if she angers Jason and feels like no bone's left wing in her corner. Could Britt and Drew be on a romantic collision course as a result? It's easy to imagine Drew and Britt having a one-night stage or commodity further if GH Pens decide to actually pair them up. You can go. Drew would love to swoop in and make a move on Jason's rearmost love interest. Drew stole Willow down from Michael Corinthos and might take great pleasure in the idea of stealing Britt down from Jason, too. As for Britt, she might end up allowing horrible Drew is the kind of man she deserves. Of course, all this could bring out Jason's defensive side and make him determined to get Britt out of Drew's route. It'd be the perfect jotting strategy to pull Jason near again and make him want Britt back. Anyhow, General Hospital spoilers say Jason and Britt's love won't go according to plan, so stay tuned for updates on any bad news that might push her in Drew's direction. The opulent, yet perpetually tense, drawing room of the Quartermaine mansion has witnessed countless family squabbles, financial betrayals, and shattered alliances. But the confrontation that erupted between Drew Cain and Ned Quartermaine on November 10th felt different. It wasn't just another quarrel over money or influence, it was a fundamental violation of trust and legacy, an act so brazen that it has sent shockwaves through the entire community of Port Charles and ignited a firestorm of fury that shows no signs of abating. This single act of theft, confessed with a smirk of entitlement, has set in motion a chain of events that threatens to dismantle Drew Cain's carefully constructed life, piece by piece. It has turned a beloved figure into a town pariah, awakened a thirst for vengeance in the most gentle of souls, and potentially set the stage for a messy and dramatic romantic reshuffling that could pit brother against brother once more. The theft heard round the town, Drew's fatal arrogance. The crux of the conflict is deceptively simple, yet profoundly symbolic. Following the passing of the family matriarch, Monica Quartermaine, Drew Cain, who had been pointedly and unequivocally omitted from her last will and testament, took matters into his own hands. In a move that stunned even those familiar with his recent descent into smugness, Drew admitted to Ned that he personally contacted the moving company and had a significant collection of valuable Quartermaine family heirlooms shipped directly to his own home. These weren't merely assets, they were relics of the Quartermaine history, portraits, jewels, artifacts, each piece a tangible thread in the rich tapestry of the family's legacy. Ned Quartermaine, the voice of reason and legality in the chaos, was swift to label the act for what it was: theft. "Those items don't belong to you, Drew," he asserted, his anger barely contained. Yet, Drew's response was a masterclass in arrogance. He carried himself with the air of a man who believed he was merely claiming what was rightfully his, acting as though Monica's deliberate exclusion was a mere oversight he was now correcting. His pleasure wasn't just in acquiring the objects, it was in the act of depriving the very family that he feels has never fully accepted him. This wasn't about sentiment, it was about spite. He was gloating, and in doing so, he crossed a line from which there is no return. The fallout was immediate and severe. Ned vowed to take Drew to court, to sue him for every single stolen item. But for the citizens of Port Charles, and particularly for the show's passionate fanbase, a civil lawsuit feels like a lenient slap on the wrist. On social media platforms, a digital mob has formed, their collective cry a demand for something more concrete: arrest and prosecution. The consensus is clear: Drew Cain must face legal consequences for his crime. He already operates with a perceived immunity, skating through life with a charm that has, until now, shielded him from the worst repercussions of his actions. His recent shooting was a moment of physical peril, but it did nothing to humble him or spur self-reflection. If anything, it calcified his resentment and amplified his worst traits. For many, seeing him in handcuffs, even for a small crime like this, would be a long overdue dose of poetic justice. It would be a tangible confirmation that the scales of justice, so often tilted in Port Charles, can still find their balance. Willow's transformation, from gentle nurturer to fierce avenger. However, the legal threat from Ned and the public outcry may pale in comparison to the personal vengeance brewing from a most unexpected source: Willow Tate. To understand the depth of Willow's rage, one must look beyond the stolen heirlooms. The true catalyst for her hatred was an act of breathtaking cruelty that leveraged her deepest vulnerabilities as a weapon. Drew, in his single-minded pursuit of winning their custody battle against Michael Corinthos and her, did the unthinkable. He weaponized her past, exploiting a deeply personal and traumatic secret in a way that was designed not just to win, but to annihilate her standing as a mother and a person. The specifics of this act are what make it so unforgivable. It was a calculated strike aimed at the very core of her identity. For Willow, a woman who embodies compassion and resilience, this was more than a legal strategy, it was a profound betrayal that severed the last fragile threads of her relationship with Drew. Whatever love, respect, or gratitude she once held for him has been poisoned, replaced by a cold, sharp hatred. The gentle nurturer has been forged in the fires of betrayal into a determined avenger. She has sworn revenge, and Willow's quiet strength suggests that her retaliation will not be a loud, public spectacle, but something far more precise and devastating. She is no longer clinging to him for support, that was a facade, a necessary performance in a war he started. Now, she is using him, biding her time until she can strike at the foundation of his power, his freedom, and his ego. This personal vendetta intertwines dangerously with the legal predicament. Willow, armed with her intimate knowledge of Drew's character and his recent actions, could become a key witness in any case brought against him. Her testimony could provide the unpleasant surprises that spoilers promise are headed Drew's way. She could corroborate Ned's claims, shed light on Drew's state of mind, or even reveal other, yet unknown transgressions. The man who sought to control her future may find that she holds the key to his own. The romantic wasteland, Drew's lonely future and a potential collision with Britt. As Drew's world constricts under the weight of legal threats and personal vendettas, his personal life is also heading for an inevitable collapse. His relationship with Willow is a hollow shell, a partnership sustained only by her strategic maneuvering and his own delusion. The custody mess has irreparably tainted their bond, and there is no conceivable future where they emerge from this battle as a genuine couple. This impending split leaves Drew in a precarious position. Through his recent behavior, his arrogance with the Quartermaines, his underhanded tactics in the custody fight, his general air of superiority, he has managed to alienate nearly every significant figure in Port Charles. The pool of women who would consider a romance with the town's most notorious scoundrel is exceedingly shallow. Yet, in the ecosystem of a soap opera, no major character remains single for long. The narrative demands a new pairing, and the question becomes, who could possibly be a match for a man like Drew at his lowest? The answer may lie in another soul who believes herself to be at rock bottom, Britt Westbourne. Britt is currently entangled in a dangerous web of her own making, involved in a high-stakes project that is putting countless lives at risk. Her motivations are rooted in a desperate need for the medication that stabilizes her Huntington's disease, a vulnerability that is being ruthlessly exploited. Jason Morgan, the stoic enforcer, sees the good in her, repeatedly assuring her that she is a person of value at heart. A tender romance seems to be blossoming between them, built on a foundation of mutual understanding and Jason's protective nature. However, this fragile connection is built on a bed of secrets. Britt is withholding critical information about Nathan West and the lingering puzzle of Caesar Faison. When these secrets inevitably come to light, as they always do in Port Charles, the fallout with Jason could be catastrophic. Jason's moral code, while flexible in matters of business, is rigid when it comes to trust and deception. Feeling betrayed and angry, he could easily pull away, leaving Britt isolated and consumed by self-loathing. In this moment of profound despair, she might truly believe that she is not worthy of a noble man like Jason. She may internalize her mistakes and conclude that a horrible man like Drew Kane is exactly what she deserves, a punishment fitting her perceived crimes. For Drew, the appeal is twofold. On one level, Britt is intelligent, beautiful, and complex. On another, more visceral level, the opportunity to swoop in and steal Jason Morgan's love interest would be an irresistible psychological victory. Drew has already positioned himself as a rival to Michael, successfully pulling Willow away. The chance to one-up Jason, the brother with whom he has a long and complicated history, would appeal to his competitive and resentful nature. It would be a way to assert dominance and alleviate his own feelings of inadequacy. One can easily imagine a scenario where two wounded, self-destructive souls find each other in a haze of alcohol and shared misery, a one-night stand born from a need for connection and validation. For Britt, it would be an act of penance, for Drew, an act of conquest. This messy pairing, as the spoilers suggest, would create immediate and explosive drama. Jason's protective instincts would kick into overdrive. Regardless of his anger at Britt, he would recognize Drew's toxic influence and feel compelled to save her from a man he knows to be manipulative and self-serving. This, in turn, could be the perfect narrative device to pull Jason closer to Britt once more, forcing him to confront his feelings and fight to win her back from the brink. The threads of this unfolding drama are tightly woven. Drew's theft of the Quartermaine heirlooms is not an isolated incident, it is the symptom of a profound moral decay. It has provided Ned with a legal cudgel, the public with a reason to demand justice, and Willow with a righteous cause for vengeance. His actions have set him on a collision course with ruin, both public and private. His inevitable breakup with Willow will leave him emotionally adrift and socially ostracized, perfectly positioned to cross paths with a similarly isolated Britt Westbourne. Their potential union would be less a romance and more a mutual pact of despair, a dramatic catalyst guaranteed to provoke a powerful response from Jason Morgan and further entangle the lives of Port Charles's most prominent families. The spoilers promise unpleasant surprises for Drew, and they are surely coming. Whether it takes the form of handcuffs clicking shut around his wrists, a devastating legal blow from Willow, or the chaotic fallout of a romance with Britt, Drew Kane's era of unchecked arrogance is drawing to a close. The baptism of his comeuppance has begun, and the waters are churning with angry threats, encouraging words for his enemies, and the promise that in Port Charles, no deed, no matter how cleverly executed, goes unpunished forever. The only question that remains is which consequence will land the final, decisive blow.